Takao, and we're back. Alright, time to voice the Paranormasight. The music, I, I turned on the game and I heard the music and it started scaring me. now I'm nervous. Welcome in. Welcome back rather. We're playing more of the Mermaid's Curse. Last stream we got a first ending. And I feel like things are really ramping up now. It's had a rather slow start, a lot of info dumping, but I feel like the action is starting to pick up. So let's continue on where we left off and see what happens. And today, we're playing a new point of view, Avi. Discovering the mermaids of Issei Bay. Arnav Barnum, a cheerful fantasy author, sets off on a trip to visit the mermaid legends of Issei Bay with his relative, Circe Lunar Light, as his guide. Circe? That's how you pronounce that, right? Date unknown. After much hustle and bustle, we finally managed to make our way to Issei Bay. So someone told me that he's actually American, but I thought he was. I thought he's British. Oh no, they said that he's related to Circe. It says like his books are published in America, but I don't know if he's American. I've never met an American with that name, that's for sure. Nice. Nice. To get all in now, we're standing on the coast of Nakabeppo in Mie Prefecture's Kawage town. Which means this is the Sea of Issei, the connection to the eternal world. How amazing. Indeed it is. Come, Circe. Henceforth begins our grand adventure in search of the legendary mermaids of Issei Bay. How amazing. I just can't stop saying it. Without further ado, my name is Arnav Barnum, an American-born fantasy author. Oh, he is American. Please call me Avi. Who are you introducing yourself to? Weirdo? Oh, well, I simply thought a new beginning called for a little dramatic flair, you know? Sure. With that out of the way, perhaps my darling guide can provide some insight into the goings-on of this locale? Sure, I've got you covered. While this area is now called Nakabeppo, long ago it was a region of Issei province known as Betsuo. Records indicate that 3 mermaids were caught in a fisherman's net along this coast back in the Heian period. Now that's what I'm talking about. Let's hear more about those mermaids. They had human heads with the mouths of monkeys, and the teeth and bodies of fish. And they spoke and even shed tears like humans. Could these be the fish mermaids you mentioned before, Avi? Indubitably, yes. This must be the place. Oh, I'm getting goosebumps. Right? I feel the same way. This is so exciting. Okay, Betsuo. Old name for the area now known as Nakabeppo Kawage Town, in the Age district. It's been since merged with Sioux City of Mie Prefecture. The territory of Taira no Kiyomori's father, Taira no Tadamori. The endless expanse of the Issei Sea. The eternal world may lie just beyond this horizon. After all, Ise province is the land whither repair the waves from the eternal world. The eternal world is reported to be a perpetual paradise, a separate plane from the world we live in, yes? Could it be that mermaids hail from such a place? We've come all this way to a distant foreign land seeking mermaids. Of course, I have my own reasons for trying to locate the mythical creatures. But for now, I intend to scour this land, in order to learn as much as I can about its lore and legends. But it occurs to me that I never actually explained the particulars of my Ise Bay mermaid excursion to the girl. No matter. It's nothing of consequence, really. I'll just introduce my reasons a bit at a time. Name Avi. Unmarried. Notable works include The Fiend of Ringit and The Solar Crow. Hermod's Travels in Bon Appetit, the Phantom Gourmand series. Although a grown man, he still has a certain naive boyishness to him. Equivalent amount of immaturity making him somewhat troublesome to deal with. Remains impressively unbothered even on those occasions he does find himself in trouble, often managing to slip out of danger with nary a dent in his usual carefree attitude. He's made it this far unscathed and is largely owed to sheer luck. Currently in Japan seeking mermaid flesh, is believed to grant immortality. His reason is simple: fascination with the occult, driven by his pursuit of romantic ideals. If he finds something inspiring, he will risk his life for it. His interest in the occult was born when he discovered his great-grandmother's vast collection of mysterious occult artifacts in the storage of his family home in America. Among them was a mermaid mummy, which yielded a mysterious map when taken apart. Discovery which captivated his imagination led to his current quest. This great-grandmother happened to be a relative of the main Lunar Light family in England, albeit one who had chosen not to succeed the family estate. Avi made contact with the Lunar Light family, continues to maintain a secret correspondence with them to this day. This young lady is a distant relative of mine, the third daughter of the Lunar Light family. The Lunar Lights have been in the business of demonic exorcism in England for several generations now. As such, young Circe has received education in this rare subject at a young age, is now an apprentice exorcist. In order to continue her training, or more likely, simply because of her interest in the area, Circe has come to Japan to study abroad. Upon hearing such news, I sought to employ her as my guide for this mermaid hunting expedition to Ise Bay. She's apparently quite fond of Japanese myths and folktales, and has already explored a number of areas concerned with the occult. Interested in visiting Mie Prefecture at least once during her stay, she immediately agreed to my request. Currently on exchange, bold and willful nature, harbors an interest in Japanese folklore and occult. Quick to involve herself in anything that interests her. Is not above the occasional prank. Third daughter of Sierra Lunar Light, head of the Lunar Light family, 2 older sisters. The beings known as demons in the West ultimately share the same root as harmful supernatural phenomena in the East: spirits of the dead, strong thoughts, and curses. What she does as an exorcist is fundamentally the same as what Japanese psychics do. I see. Primary abilities: guardian spirits. The ability to call upon the numerous guardian spirits of the Lunar Light family. Invoke their powers to exercise spirits and negate certain psychic abilities. Shikigami. The ability to turn a piece of paper with an individual's name written into a butterfly, which will return to the individual in question. She does not have to be the one who wrote the name. It must be Circe who casts a spell. Got it. Dowsing. The ability to use a pendulum to search for a target based on what the user can sense of their spiritual power. So he's really good at searching for people. Although she is supposed to be in the care of the Paranormal Affairs Bureau, confidential Japanese institute, during her time in Japan, Sushi has been spending more time traveling around the country, sightseeing, than working through her training curriculum. The supervisor in charge of her training has all but given up on trying to manage her, resolving to keep an eye on her, but otherwise not interfere, as such she's afforded relatively high-level freedom. She is an ardent fan of Kurosuzu Mio. Ah! That's fun. She treasures the photograph she had taken of Mio on the first meeting in Tokyo. Keeps it with her at all times. Okay. That's fun. As far as the girl is concerned, I suppose I could be considered a guardian of sorts. Even so, I often find myself caught up in her pace and completely thrown off guard. If anyone should be shaking things up around here, it ought to be me. Kawage Town might be located right next to Mie Prefecture's modern capital, Sioux City. But there's something you have to keep in mind. This is also the birthplace of Heike, a branch of the Heian period's prominent Taira clan. If you're going to talk about Ise province, then you absolutely have to mention the Heike. I do have a passing understanding of the topic. The Heike took part in the Genpei War, correct? That's right. That was the war in the Heian period, where two great samurai families, the Minamoto and the Taira, locked horns and really got into it. Among the Heike, Taira no Kiyomori was a particularly famous figure who appears in many creative works concerning the event. His father, Taira no Tadamori, was the one responsible for securing the Heike's high social standing. So Tadamori was Kiyomori's father, right? With names like that, how can anyone hope to keep them straight? That's history for you. I'm afraid you just have to memorize them. I suppose you're right about that. Then memorize them I shall. Apparently, Tadamori was born in Sioux City, a place called Ubushina. Ah, so that's why they call this area the birthplace of the Heike. Where Tadamori was born? Previously known as Hanotsu. Let's talk about this place. This is the metropolitan center of Mie, a locus of historical events. I guess that makes it the perfect place to start a new journey. I put together an assortment of files concerning the Heike, so feel free to give them a look if you're interested. You have my heartfelt gratitude. Alright, thank you. I know a little bit of this from playing FGO. First samurai to enter the Imperial Court. Strong will and perseverance. Nukemaru. Originally named Kogarashi. A giant snake emerged from the lake and made to swallow Tadamori whole. What? Nukemaru derives from the verb nuku, meaning to unsheath. That's crazy. Its whereabouts are currently unknown. The mermaids of Betsuo. Dubbing these creatures Ningyo, the original Japanese word for mermaids. The fisherman put two of them in a box that washed up with him and presented them to Tadamori. Tadamori was unnerved by their appearance and refused to accept them. The remaining mermaid was caught up and eaten by the fisherman, who found them delicious. Oh, there's one thing I should warn you about, though. Oh? This group sometimes gets referred to as Issei Taira as well, which may make things a little confusing. I'll go ahead and label it all as Heike. Does it really matter? Aren't they basically the same thing? Not exactly. You see, the term Issei Taira refers to the Taira clan as a whole, because it originated in Issei. On the other hand, people generally refer to the family within the clan that included Tadamori and Kiromori as simply the Heike. The family features prominently in the stories we're interested in, so I use Heike most of the time. Plus, it has a nice ring to it. Either way works for me, so do as you like. The tale of Heike also used Heike. You're awfully particular about this, but I rather like that kind of fastidiousness. Anyway, after a number of events, the Heike would go on to lose the battle of Dan no Ura and be completely eradicated. I believe I know this one. Dan no Ura was found in Kyushu, is it not? Bingo. The clan was chased out of Kyoto and pushed further and further west, until they were eventually wiped out there. It pains me to think of such a resplendently glorious clan meeting such an ignominious end. More's a pity. That's why the Heike's resentment is particularly strong, and many remnants of it remain even today. Shrines and monuments have even been erected throughout the land, in an attempt to quell that resentment. Now we reach your particular field of expertise. Because the clan fell from such an exalted position so abruptly, that resentment is exceptionally persistent and quite pervasive. That said, famous places related to people like Taira no Kiromori are well attended by worshippers, so they're relatively stable. It's a puffed up and pretentious Heike clan members that no one even remembers who caused the most trouble. I seem to recall a number of individuals going so far as to claim that those outside of the Heike clan could not even be considered human. If that's the case, are we really safe here? We don't think we might find ourselves assailed by those lingering grudges. Much of Issei province is protected by shrines, and the area is suffused with spiritual energy, so we're probably safer here than most places. But that's just the land itself. Objects or people that the resentment has seeped into are a different story altogether. That's somewhat troubling to hear. Well, either way you look at it, this region is still home to many places and things associated to the Heike. Can we get back to those mermaids you mentioned? What became of the three that were caught in the fishing nets? At that time, the lord of this area was Taira no Tadamori. You didn't already forget him, did you? Well, the fisherman thought the mermaids were a fascinating find, so he placed 2 of them into the boxes and presented them to Tadamori. Oh, Lord Tadamori must have been well pleased by that. How could he not be? It was known that eating the flesh of a mermaid grants eternal life. Actually, Tadamori evidently said that they were disturbing and gross and refused to accept them. Gah! What a waste! However, the fisherman cut up the remaining mermaid and ate it himself. So, what happened to him? Well, the fisherman said it was pretty tasty. Well now, tasty, is it? And that's all I've got. That's it? That's all I could find in the existing records. When the act of eating a mermaid's flesh alone may not produce any results, I suppose then there may be other requisite conditions, wouldn't you say? Well, considering the sheer number of eyewitness reports concerning mermaids, it is odd that there aren't more immortals walking around. There don't seem to be any records about what happened to the mermaids that Tadamori refused to accept. I suppose it's possible someone in the Heike clan snuck off with them. Now, that's a hypothesis I can get behind. Excellent. I believe I've gotten a grasp of the situation at hand. It's time we made our way to the next locale. We're on the clock after all. Let's get to it. But then, would such mermaids be so easily trapped by simple fishing nets? I thought them more cunning than that. Perhaps these fish mermaids are in fact nothing more than simple sea creatures. Before we move on, I almost forgot about the marking rules. Anota. Well, it would seem that we've arrived. And where are we now, Cersei? This is an area in Ano Town known as Kusawa. Kusawa is quite famous because of the Yao Bikini legend. I'd be surprised if there was anyone who hasn't heard of it. I'm sorry to say I've never heard of it. Wait, really? Come now, don't act so surprised. You can't expect me to know every little thing. And besides, I'm not even from this country. The very reason I requested you be my guide was so you could teach me about things like this. I guess that's true. Okay, I understand. I'll be counting on your explanations. Ano Town is located in Age District. The primary place of production of sumoji, delicate fabric woven in such a way to be semi-transparent. Ah, the fabled beauty of the serene Japanese countryside. It really is charming. Oh yes, the incessant chirping of locusts, combined with the unrelenting heat. This is Japanese summer, all right. It's fascinating to think that such a peaceful place could be home to such profound historical events. I'm practically jittering with excitement. I can see that. Let's try to keep a cool head, shall we? What's down there? Some sort of shrine? This shrine is apparently dedicated to Sugawara no Michizane. We should go pay our respects before we leave. Got my eyes open for any mockingbirds. If Yao Bikini really did exist, I wonder what sort of life she led. I can't begin to imagine what it would be like to live for hundreds of years. Oops. The legend of Yao Bikini originated here in Kusawa, Anoda. Long, long ago, a 17-year-old girl named Osato lived in this village. She unknowingly ingested the meat of a mermaid that was served during a village gathering, and became immortal. After subsequently being persecuted by the other villagers, she became a nun and made a pilgrimage around the entire country. At the end of the story, she eventually returned to this village and lived out the rest of her very long life. Tales told in other parts of the country play out in almost exactly the same fashion. Yeah, I guess that's true. Only a Dane Buddhist nun. Shunned by the other villagers. I see. But we know in Osato. The legend of Yao Bikini, the girl who ate the flesh of a mermaid and lived 800 years, has been passed down all over Japan. not only here near Prefecture's Ano Town, but in Fukui, Aichi, and Gifu prefectures as well. In total, the story has been found in 121 locations in 28 prefectures throughout the country, or at least that's what certain research has indicated. Doesn't that seem like a lot? Were there really that many different Yaobikinis out there? Obviously, not all the legends can be true. But I actually have a theory on the subject. Would you like to hear it? By all means. Most of the legends refer to a woman who stopped aging and lived for 800 years after consuming the meat of a mermaid. At that point, because others would find it strange that she wasn't getting older, she wasn't able to live in normal society anymore. I suppose that would be natural. It would explain why she withdrew from the world and became a nun. Exactly. And that's how she got the name Yao Bikini, the 800-year-old Bikini nun. With 800 years on her hands, she could easily have made pilgrimage around the entire country. How interesting. Buddhist priests are known for trekking throughout the land as a form of ascetic training. And if we consider the 121 locations where the legend was found, with 800 years to spare, she could have spent 6 years in each location. 6 years would certainly be enough for her to make a name for herself in each and every location, right? Oh my dear, I believe I see what you're getting at. Your theory posits that the stories of Yao Bikini that have been passed down in every corner of the country all refer to the exact same individual. Well, it might be a bit much to say that all of them are the same. There may have been a few different people. It's more convincing than the theory that there are 121 people. I also think the Yao Bikini of Wakasa province is the most likely origin of the legend. I wonder. Don't all the different instances of the story throughout Japan also claim that particular location as a place of final rest? That may be true, but I assume that each of those different places wanted to have a grave or some other tangible marker to base the legend on. But would so many people that are purported to have lived for 800 years all die at around the same time? It seems pretty unlikely. Then you believe some of the tales were embellished somewhat. That sort of thing happens all the time. Legends are always mixtures of truth and fantasy. Moreover, it doesn't make sense that every single mortal would decide to become a nun. There are likely some places that simply believed the Yao Bikini was a term for an immortal, rather than a nun. For all we know, she said Amma, be none of that, and become an Amma diver. That's actually pretty insightful. Many legends are based on simple semantic understandings. No, wait just a minute. I won't stand here and let my dumb joke actually become a salient point of discussion. Let's drop it then. But still, if one were to somehow live for 800 years, a person that became immortal after the Kamakura period could still be alive today. True, and if so, I'd love to sit them down for a long chat. Can Kusawa's legend of Yao Bikini really be true? There must be falsehoods and fictions mixed in the tale, surely. Who knows? Ise province isn't that far from Wakasa province, after all. She may have simply walked here from there. The fact that the stories of each different area are so similar does make me wonder if they didn't get mixed together somehow. Ah, you think this legend may be an amalgamation of stories from various locations. Exactly. But then again, the immortal in the story from this location has her own name, which gives the legend a certain verisimilitude. Indeed it does. I guess we can assume that a girl with that name really did live here long ago. Then something must have happened to make people believe she had become immortal. It's reasonable to assume her story then got mixed up with various legends of Yao Bikini from around the country before being passed down. Of course, the exact timing of these events is still unclear, but that does prevent an interesting possibility. She could very well be still living in this village. Wouldn't that be a compelling development? Leaving it to a cult writer to think up something like that. That's right. You're seeing the prodigious imaginative power of a fantasy author in action. Yes, it's, really something. But the fact of the matter is that almost no traces of Yao Bikini remain in this village. Even her grave, which is referred to Lady Yao's tomb, has never been located. But then, did we come all this way for nothing? Well, it might not have been a direct connection, but there is something one should always consider when discussing Issei. The Tales of Issei. Have you heard of it? It's the oldest extant collection of Japanese verse, compiled sometime during the Heian period. I'm afraid I'm not familiar with it. But I have heard of the tale of Genji and the tale of Heike. Is it anything like those? Well, those are also stories written during the Heian period, but that's where the similarities end. Nice try, though. Oh, well, they sound similar enough, anyway. Don't worry, I'm not an expert on the subject either. Basically, this collection of verse elaborates on a number of waka poems by giving accounts of the events surrounding each one. The entire collection of 125 passages is referred to as the Tales of Issei. That's enough to remember, no? Tales of Issei is a collection of short stories. Check. One more thing. The title might be the Tales of Issei, but the content isn't all that focused on the actual area. What's this now? Are they intentionally attempting to confuse and bewilder us? Some believe the title comes from the fact that passage 69 is set in the Issei province. At any rate, I just thought I should bring it up, because it does have at least a slight bearing on the topic at hand. If you're keen to learn more, I'll add more detailed information to the files. Why, thank you. I'll be sure to read through them later. Collection of verse, or uta monogatari. Basically like song stories. The oldest surviving work in Japan. See it. Fictionalized version of Ariwana no Narihara. 125 episodes. The life of a man from his coming of age to his death. Primarily on the protagonist and the people around her. Episode 1. Wikoburi. Having come of age, a man sets out on a ceremonial falconry excursion. He catches sight of two beautiful sisters. He cuts off a sleeve of his robe, inscribes a poem on it, and sends it to her. Episode 6. A man, having succeeded in stealing away a beautiful noblewoman, flees with her to a warehouse. They take shelter from the rain. The man discovers in the morning she has disappeared, devoured by a demon. Episode 9. At Akutagawa. Azuma Kurari. Feeling despondent, a man embarks on a journey to the east with a group of friends. In Mikawa province, he catches sight of some beautiful flowers. Reflects on how far his journey has brought him. He recites a poem. In Tsuruga province, he sees snow on the peak of Mount Fuji. Contemplates the passage of time, recites a poem. In Musashi province, he spots a unfamiliar bird on the shores of Sumida River. Recalls his wife and hometown, recites a poem. His friends all weep on hearing the latter, moved by the feelings for his faraway home. Episode 23. Tsutsui Zutsu. So 69. Cardinal Sukai. When sent to Ise province to hunt game, a man is received with great hospitality by the imperial princess serving as priestess at Ise Shrine. They attract each other. The two attempt to meet in secret, but can find no opportunity to speak intimately. They promise one another to meet the following day. It is not meant to be. The two exchange poems of farewell before the man sets out to continue his journey. 95. Hikoboshi. Okay. Claiming his love for her is greater than Hikoboshi's love for Orihime. He compares the screen separating them to the Milky Way, separating two legendary lovers. Moved by his words, the woman removes the screen, allowing them to meet face to face. Oh, is this the last one? Okay. Yeah, a lot of these have to deal with romances between men and women. There is one other thing we can learn from the tales of Ise. Adding the tale to a book title really classes things up. You should keep it in mind. It was apparently all the rage during the Heian period. Oh, I couldn't agree more. My next work is certainly going to be a tale of. Basically monogatari. So sorry. Well then, I suppose that brings this particular subject to a close. On to the next. No rest for the wicked, I say. Time to tackle the next mermaid myth. Sure. If Yarrow Bikini really did exist, I wonder what sort of life she led. I can't begin to imagine what it would like to live for hundreds of years. Alright, to Futamigara. I forgot what the name means. Futamigara. I'll probably say it again. Ah, it means to look twice. It's so beautiful it made Yamato Hime no Mikoto look twice. I see. And here we find our next subject of inquiry. What place might this be, my dear? This is Futamigara, the coastline that lies beside Futami Town, just over from Ise City. Ah, then we finally penetrated the outskirts of Ise City proper. Things are certainly beginning to heat up. I inferred that Ise City was a prefectural capital from the fact that Mie Prefecture was once known as Ise Province. Not bad, eh? Ah, well, I can't understand how you would arrive at that conclusion. But the truth is, Mie Prefecture is composed of 4 separate provinces: Ise, Shima, Iga, and Ki. Oh, is that so? But that doesn't change the fact that Ise City is regarded as a spiritual capital of Japan, making it a very important location. Very interesting. But the sun has already begun its steady descent, so perhaps you would pick up the pace of it. Futamigara Sea is famously said to purify the body, so many visitors to Ise Shrine come here as well. The scenic beauty of the location has even been featured in poems from antiquity. It certainly is easy on the eyes. The strands of pine trees along the shore make for quite the striking image. To make it even better, the embankment we're standing on offers a 360-degree view of Ise Bay. It makes you want to get out on the very edge to take it all in. It really does. Being surrounded by the bay like this is such an enchanting feeling. What a breathtaking view. Alright, nothing suspicious. I'm gonna be paranoid about these mockingbirds until I get all of them. As far as the girl is concerned. Okay, no, I've seen that. Of course, I have my own reasons for trying to locate the mythical creatures. Oh no, I've already seen that one too. But tell me about the sites. Ah, speaking of which, this is entirely unrelated, but there's something I've been wondering. Do you mind? What? But our conversation was just getting good. Protest all you like, but I shall ask anyway. On our way here, I noticed a certain something adorning the entrances to everyone's houses. What was that? Oh, right. Those are Somin Shorai talismans. Somin Shorai. Yes. Although, in most of Japan, they're usually only hung up around the New Year, but here in the Ise Tobashima region, they're traditionally left up all year round. Interesting. I can add more detailed information to the files for you later. Somin Shorai Shison, descendant of Somin Shorai. Place the doorways, a prayer for sound health and to ward off illness. Interesting. On New Year's Eve, the deity Gozu Tenno set out to court the princess of Ryugu. However, when night fell, he found that none of the nearby inns had a spare room to offer him. He turned to two brothers who lived by the sea for hospitality. The wealthy younger brother, Kotan Shorai, turned him away despite having the means to accommodate him. The elder brother, Somin Shorai, welcomed Gozu Tenno into his home, even though he lived in poverty. Pleased by the simple yet heartfelt reception he had received, Gozu Tenno rewarded this hospitality by sparing Somin Shorai from a plague that ravaged the area the next year. Ever since, it is said that hanging a wreath of miscanthus reeds, and a charm declaring oneself to be a descendant of Somin Shorai from one's waist, will offer protection from plagues and illness. I see. Fascinating. Ah. What is it? What is it? Now you're making me antsy. Is someone here? No. Come now, Cersei. You realized something about those Shomin Shorai, didn't you? You must share. No, nothing like that. It just made me think about how close this area is to the eternal world. It is? What does that mean? You'd already know this from the files, but regarding the Somin Shorai, its origin goes back to a legend about the deity Gozu Tenno courting the princess of Ryugu. Ah, Ryugu, you say? That's right. Ryugu is close to this place. In other words, the place is very close to the eternal world. Yes, and furthermore, Gozu Tenno is also the guardian deity of the Gion Shoja Temple. The very same Gion Shoja who gets mentioned in Our Good Friend, The Tale of Heike. So it is. What was it again? From the bells of Gion Shoja echoes out the impermanence of all things, right? It sounds so cool that I even memorized it. I haven't got a clue what it means, though. Yes, that's the one. As for its meaning, you can look it up yourself. Fine, fine. So what you're saying is, Ise-shima is a land with deep ties to both Ryugu and the Heike. And that is exactly why the Somin Shorai tradition is so well established here. Ah, that reminds me. There's something about Ryugu's princess that keeps bothering me as well. She certainly is mysterious, and... okay. We'll find out about it later, I guess. So, does this place have any legends featuring mermaids? It does. A record called Kagenki was written by the people of Horyuji Temple after the Kamakura period. In that record, there are a total of 6 instances of information concerning mermaids. 6, eh? That's certainly promising. One of those entries describes a sighting here in Futami Ise province on April 3rd, during the 2nd year of the Enbun era, which would be 1357. So you even noted the exact date. How fortuitous! The passage is as follows. From the sea of Futami in Ise province came Enmeiju, delivering perpetuity. So, what exactly does that mean? My guess is that a mermaid was spotted in the sea by Futami. It was named Enmeiju, meaning health and long life, because it granted longevity. Aha! It granted longevity, did it? Finally, we're getting to the good stuff. Yes, there's another account relating mermaids to Yao Bikini. It seems the idea of mermaids granting immortality had already been established at that time. Indeed. And now we even have a name. So what sort of mermaid was this, and what became of it? No clue. Again with the vague records. These people write down the appearance of some fantastical creature, and then just let it wander off? I haven't personally gone over every bit of research on the matter, but I can speculate on an answer. Records of mermaids in other places often refer to them by name. In fact, it may not have been all that uncommon for the people in the area to encounter them when these records were written. Let me see if I follow your meaning. The same mermaid would appear repeatedly, leading people in the area to grow accustomed to it. Am I on the right track? Exactly. I mean, you wouldn't bother giving a name to something you only saw once, after all. These people may have even come to kind of rapport with the mermaids. At the very least, it doesn't seem to appear as though they were trying to capture any. Mermaids that people didn't want to capture. But they weren't seeking its flesh. Perhaps there was a way of obtaining immortality even without the meat. Maybe mermaid meat really was just tasty and nothing more. If that were the case, then it makes perfect sense that they would view the mermaid as a divine creature. They treated it as an auspicious being that blessed others with long life. You may be onto something there. This makes me think of that theory you mentioned about how there might be 2 different kinds of mermaids. Oh, you remember it. I stand by my theory. There's the fish mermaid, which looks more like an aquatic monster or beastie. And the human mermaid, which resembles a demi-human or nymph. Indeed. That's the simplest way to describe it anyhow. Assuming the mermaid in question had a name, formed relationships with humans, and granted longevity, it stands to reason it was of the human mermaid variety. You have a point. The mermaids we've encountered thus far have all been caught in nets and appear to be more like fish mermaids. It seems more likely then that the mermaids who grant longevity are actually these human mermaids. Interesting. That in turn would suggest... My word! Would this mean that one could become immortal without eating their flesh? I'm not sure. There are countless legends that reference the need to consume their flesh. But I can't help but feel like there's more to it. If human mermaids are capable of communicating with us, I'd really like to speak with one. Agreed. That reminds me. About Futami Gaura. Oh, it's nighttime. Dear me, how time flies when listening to your lecture, Cersei. The sun has already gone down. I suppose I got carried away. Sorry. Well, that results in such a lovely view of the sea. At night, I'll not complain. You're right. Just look at all those stars. Oh. But look, the heavens are entirely enveloped in a shower of dazzling pinpricks of light. What a sight to behold! Would you happen to be versed in constellations, Cersei? Well, I've dabbled in a bit of astrology, so I guess I know a thing or two. Excellent, do tell! Oh, but really let time get away from us. Look how dark it's gotten. Without the light from the stars above, we'd be lost in pitch darkness. Anything spooky? Stars speckle the sky as far as the eye can see. Not bad. Not bad at all. Dear me, I dragged her around all day long, didn't I? Or perhaps I should say, I had her drag me around all day long. As our guardian for the time being, I suppose I ought to have us retire earlier. Though Cersei here, herself seems to have limitless reserves of energy. Oh, goodness. Well, if we consider the constellations you can see in Japan during summer, the first one that comes to mind is the Summer Triangle. It's an easy one to find. Altair, Vega, Deneb. Triangle, eh? Then I presume it is made up of 3 stars? Correct. Vega in the constellation Lyra, Deneb in the constellation Cygnus, and Altair in the constellation Aquila. This trio of bright stars can be observed close to the Milky Way in this season. What? I want to see. How do we go about identifying them? Well, first, low in the southwestern portion of the sky, look for a star that glows red. Antares of the Scorpio constellation. Southwest, you say? From here, that would be facing inland and looking to the right. Okay, try to find a red star low in the sky and point 2. I did see a red star in the sky earlier. Altair is Hikoboshi. Vega is Orihime. Wait, I believe I found it. That star just there with a reddish tint. That must be Antares, yes? Correct. That is indeed Antares, the brightest star in the Scorpio constellation. Aha! I found it all by myself. Why, I'd make quite the celestial cartographer, if I do say so myself. I hate to rain on your parade, but you were supposed to be looking for a star in the Summer Triangle. So please try again. Egods, that's right! Why not try looking straight up from Antares? I bet you'll find Vega, the star at the sky's zenith. Give it a shot. Whoa! It's like blue. There, that must be it. Bingo, that's Vega, one of the 3 stars in the Summer Triangle. In Japan, Vega is also called the Orihime star, and is famous for its connection to the Tanabata Star Festival. Then that must mean Hikoboshi will be the one on the opposite side of the Milky Way from that one. Exactly right. Can you figure out which one it is? It feels like I'm playing Dora the Explorer now. One of the other stars in the Summer Triangle is in the same area, so see if you can find it. It's gotta be this. Eureka! I spotted it. Oh, that's Altair, one of the 3 stars in the Summer Triangle. Part of the Aquila constellation, Altair is also known in Japan as Hikoboshi, for its role in the Tanabata Star Festival. Ho ho! That means I've managed to spot both Orihime and Hikoboshi. It's as if I've drawn the 2 star-crossed lovers together with my own hand. How overjoyed they must be. Yeah. Nice work. I didn't expect you to be such a romantic. There's still another star in the Summer Triangle to find. It might be hard to see because of the angle. Right you are. It certainly is a bit tricky to see something directly above you. Oh, I got it. Deneb lies within the Milky Way, which earns it the nickname Milky Way Star. It does indeed appear to be swimming nicely along that starry strait. There, I've located all 3 stars of the Summer Triangle. How do you like that? Good work. Now you mastered the summer skies. Should I start addressing you as Professor? That's me. Feel free to rely on my knowledge. Alright then. Tell me, what is another name for the star Hikoboshi? That's Altair. That's right. Well done, Professor. I mean, nothing to it. Regardless, we've seen all there is to see here in Futamigaura. I'd even go so far as to call this a wrap. I think that covers all the mermaid legends from Mie Prefecture. Was there anywhere else here you're keen to visit, Cersei? What? We haven't even visited the Ise Shrine yet. If you ask me, we've barely scratched the surface. You got a point there. But it's getting late. So let's save that for tomorrow, shall we? Alright. The next day. Hello, Infodom. Asama Yama. Date unknown. Wow. Talk about a gorgeous view. It is something, isn't it? This is Mount Asama's observation platform. It overlooks Toba City on one side and Ise City on the other. So that's Toba City over there, eh? What's Toba got going for it? Well, the first thing that comes to mind when thinking about Toba is Toba Castle, built in the Sengoku period by none other than the pirate daimyo, Lord Kuki, who at one time led the Kuki naval fleet. I saw, I think on Twitter or something recently, that there's a castle in Japan for sale. What the heck, man? You can just actually put those up for sale. It's like 60k USD or something. Oh, that's more exciting than I anticipated. As for the Tobashima area, it's famous for having the highest population of ama divers in Japan. Aha! I knew there'd be something touristy. What a fantastic blend of culture and history. Okay, borders Ise City and Toba City. Asamagatake. Kongo Shoji was built to protect Ise Shrine from the northeast. Apparently, Mount Asama's peak sits at 555 meters above sea level, so it's not that high. But as it's situated at the tip of Shima Peninsula, it offers a magnificent view of Toba Bay's coastline and the outlying islands. Since we stopped by the shrine this morning, I assumed we'd take the mountain path. All I can say is this place takes my breath away. Many birds. From what I hear, lots of the inns in Toba are run by armor divers and fishermen. I can't wait to dig into some seafood tonight. She's been packed and ready to venture forth since the early hours of the morning, though I myself beat her to the punch, having been too excited to sleep a wink all night. First off, you should know that the naval troops in the Sengoku period were basically just pirates. Pirates, eh? Yes, they would put together crews of rowdy sailors, arm them to the teeth, and have them patrol a designated area of the sea. They only actually served under their commander as a naval force when there was a battle. So that's what the Navy was like back then, A ragtag bunch of pirates only called on to do their duty in times of need. Exactly. In fact, such forces only came to be called navies during the Edo period, and that was purely a matter of convenience. As for the Kuki Navy, it was one of the pirate bands patrolling the waters of Ise Bay. A man named Yoshitaka Kuki was its commander, hence the name. He distinguished himself in the service of Nobunaga Oda and Hideyoshi Toyotomi, eventually rising to the position of daimyo of Shima province. That's why they called him the Pirate Daimyo. He started as a lowly pirate but rose all the way to the top of the chain of command. Say Oda Nobunaga, him I've heard of. He was the demon king of the sixth heaven, no? True, but that's a title he gave himself. Still, pirate and a daimyo. What an enchanting combination. That may be, but he wasn't blessed where allies were concerned. It seems he was always butting heads with his relatives. Oh? For one thing, he may have had his nephew Sumitaka assassinated in order to take over the Kuki clan. He also fought on the opposite side to his own son, Moritaka, in the decisive battle of Sekigahara. In the end, spurred on by his vassals, he committed suicide in Toshijima, that island over there. So while Kuki became daimyo of Shima province, his land was confiscated during his son's rule, and the clan fell into decline. Life truly is full of ups and downs. How the mighty do fall. Must have been quite a character. That reminds me. There's another fascinating legend related to the Kuki clan. Oh, do tell. It's about Yoshitaka Kuki's nephew, Sumitaka. He had an extraordinary beautiful daughter named Hatsune Hime. I dare say I know where this is going. Whenever a legend starts with a beautiful daughter, it inevitably ends with trouble. You're not wrong there. Hatsune Hime was so beautiful that she saw no end of suitors, and her father sought to marry her off to achieve his political ends. But the princess already had a lover, so she fought against her father's plans, and even ran away several times only to be brought home. I knew it. Alas, that's what life was like for the daughters of powerful figures in those days. Well, Hatsune Hime lamented her fate. Must I be cursed with such misfortune merely for my beauty? And she didn't stop there. May no beautiful daughter be born to this land again. Such was the curse she left behind, before throwing herself down a well. And so ends the legend. Not what I'd call a happy ending. The princess may have had good intentions, and I'm sure no one else felt she was doing any of them favors. Good intentions? That isn't how I interpreted it. Well, what's your take on the story, then? When authority figures try to force other people's hands, they bring these cursed things upon themselves. It's just asking to get cursed. Fair enough, I see your point. Still, the princess did take it a bit far. To me, though, it almost feels like that part was tacked on later. As if someone thought it would make the story more impactful, and that word of it would travel further if the princess killed herself at the end. Oh, if you're right, then that would change the story completely. But there is something else that interests me more. Sumitaka became head of the Cookie Clan in 1560, but he was so young that Yoshitaka had to be appointed as his guardian. His exact age at the time isn't known, with the common belief that he was about 8 years old. Nothing unusual there. Premature inheritances was a common occurrence in those days. But consider this. When Sumitaka died 24 years later, in 1584, he would have been 32 years old. Yes? If we suppose that Hatsune Hime was 15, their ages don't quite add up, do they? Age differences weren't so much a point of contention back then, but even so, that is a bit odd. Which begs the question, did Hatsune Hime really exist to begin with? Sumitaka's daughter, named Hatsune Hime. Came head of the Cookie Clan in 1560. Interesting. And even if she did, she really Sumitaka's daughter. And the gate Magatama was unearthed at the place where the princess was supposedly buried. That could easily have been planted there to lend credibility to the tale. Well, once you start doubting, it's hard not to see lies everywhere. True. The pursuit of the unknown starts with belief, doesn't it? Well said. A certain occult researcher taught me that once. You don't say. Okay. Yoshitaka allied himself with Oda Nobunaga and then Toyotomi Hideyoshi. Became feudal lord of Shima province, founding Toba Castle. The head of the Kuki clan was his nephew, Sumitaka. Sumitaka was 8 years old when he was appointed. Died 2 years after the Honnoji incident. Some theories suggest that he was poisoned by Yoshitaka. Questions about the accuracy of Hatsune Hime's legend remain, including Sumitaka's age at the time. Oh, I just realized something. Fukizumi Takadaido was assassinated exactly 400 years ago.
What?
Is that significant? It is. A special spiritual significance is attached to periods of 400 years. For instance, the cycle of death and rebirth supposedly lasts 400 years, and some stories claim that the soul endures for 400 years. Of course, 800-year mortals have twice that lifespan. But as you can see, 400 years is widely considered a good cutoff point. Twice. Like Futami Gala. So there's a chance something happens after 400 years. Maybe. In any case, we should probably tread carefully here. It sounds to me if we're in the right place at the right time. Ama divers have a long history in the Tobishima region. Evidence indicates that free divers have been fishing in the area since ancient times. You don't say. Most notably, it says that Orban, who once presented an abalone to Yamato Hime no Mikoto, was the very first Ama diver. In fact, there's a shrine dedicated to Orban in Kuzaki. It's considered to be a sacred place to Ama divers of the Tobishima region. Is that so? She must have been truly legendary. Moreover, there are several poems in the famous 8th century poetry anthology, Manyoshu, that depict the Ama diving in Shima province. Ama divers also appear in dozens of ukiyo-e from the Edo period. Clearly, they were a popular theme. It's quite incredible to think that their method of fishing has not only endured for so long, but has been recorded in exquisite detail. There is another point worth noting. Ama divers have long been likened to mermaids for their skill and grace. You could even argue that the Ama diver culture is so deeply rooted in this place is interwoven with the region's mermaid legends. Ah yes, there's a theory that the mermaids of Ise Bay were simply Ama divers. It does seem likely there's a connection between the two. I wouldn't be surprised if they were originators of the legend. Perhaps. But I'd be beyond disappointed if that's all there is to it. Oh, right. By the way, there's another legend surrounding the Ama divers of Tobishima region regarding something called the Tomokazuki. It's believed that an Ama diver may encounter a copy of herself underwater, will then offer her an abalone. If she accepts, the Tomokazuki doppelganger would drag her to the bottom of the sea, never to be seen again. Ugh, Cersei, please don't spring scary stories on me out of nowhere. That's why the Ama divers of this area wear the Seiman and Dolman symbols on them while they dive. A tradition that has continued right up to the present day. There must be some reason for it beyond superstition. Interesting. On another note, the Ama divers of the Tobishima region possess such exceptional diving skills that in addition to fishing, they also saved people from drowning and fetched objects that had been sunk to the sea floor, right up until the Meiji era. Well, well. It sounds as if they were true diving professionals. Exactly. In fact, after the Heike were defeated at Dano Ura, were lost beneath the waves. Oh, we're back to the Heike already? I wasn't even aware there was a connection. Well, after that fateful battle, who do you think they sent to reclaim the legendary sword Kusanagi no Tsurugi on the sea floor? 2 Ama divers. Ah, so their lost and found services was being employed even back then, eh? And while they were diving, they came to face with the vengeful spirits of the drowned Heike. Ugh, Cersei, please! You're going to give me nightmares! At least that's what's depicted in the ukiyo-e entitled, In the Western Sea, the diving women encounter the Heike in the depths of the water. Such a deep connection. To think that the Heike were even once depicted with armor divers. They truly are a symbol of the Ise-shima region. Yes, but the setting for that ukiyo-e is Dano-ura, which isn't anywhere near here. Still, it does go to show that armor divers have held a deep connection to the sea for a very long time. And when we're talking about the Tobashima region, armor divers are always going to be key players. True. If you ask me, they should be brought up before the pirates. Mind you, the Navy had a crucial role to play too. Right, well, as fascinating as all this has been, Cersei, I say it's high time we turn to our primary topic of interest here. Oh, and what would that be? Personally, now that we visited Ise Shrine, I'm more or less satisfied. Tut tut. Cersei, you disappoint me. We didn't come here purely to chase legends, did we? Aww. And here I was hoping we could move on to buying souvenirs next. You know perfectly well that the true purpose of my voyage is nothing more or less than a treasure hunt. Right. Of course, I'm sure all this information we've been gathering will come in handy as well. But first things first, let's head back to the inn. From there we can plan our next move. Treasure hunt. That wasn't what I was expecting. I was assuming that they were here to like investigate mermaids for like a story or something, since he's an author. But I think this is a good place to start. I'll call it here and rest up. I don't want to go on too long, tire myself out. Good little reading sesh. Let's find something to read. It's a lot of exposition down, but it is really interesting. I never really considered that these things could be related in such a way. It must take such like a big mind in order to come up with a story like this. I wonder how much research goes into this. Or was it something that they were already interested in before? My eyes are kind of hurting. I was up like really late last night. I couldn't sleep. And then I ended up passing out today. I only got up because my nose started bleeding in my sleep. But yeah, let's rate Aspen. They're playing some Fire Emblem Awakening. It was the first Fire Emblem I ever played and got me into the series, so a lot of good memories of it. But that's it for me. Hope you guys enjoyed the stream. Thank you guys for coming by. If you're here for the movies, I hope you guys enjoyed them. If you're here for Paranormasight, I hope you guys enjoyed the short reading. So definitely tomorrow there will be a lot more reading if you know you're wanting that. So no worries. But that's it for me. I really appreciate you guys coming by, hanging out, and lurking and stuff like that. If you guys would like to support me, because you enjoy what I do, please consider subscribing. But otherwise, I appreciate you guys watching. This stream is sponsored by viewers like you. Thank you. And if I don't see you guys tomorrow, have a great rest of the week. Good night, everybody. Bye bye. Take care. Sweet dreams. And have a great rest of your day. Oh.